Being honest.
No, it's
exactly one hockey team, and that hockey team is the Colorado Avalanche. Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche Podcast, presented by Bet365. We've got Big E, we've got AJ, and we've got Rudo coming to you live on the first day after the season for the Avs. Everybody else still has games to play, though. So we figured we'd take some time. We'd look back at the Avalanche season, discuss some main topics, just remember some storylines, think about how things played out for this hockey team this year. Because the Avs finished the season with 49 wins, but let me take you back to October 14th, when the Avs were actively going 0-4 to start the season. We've come a long way from the beginning days of the season for the Colorado Avalanche. AJ, let me just ask you the big question first. What has been the biggest storyline of this season for the Colorado Avalanche?
I'm just gonna steal Eric's answer before he can get to it, but it's a season of change. It's general manager Chris McFarland not being afraid of the moment, man.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
I don't know if we will ever see something like what we saw this year from. I mean,
that much turnover
teams,
is outrageous. Yeah.
Rebuilding teams don't make 9 in-season trades. The Avs were the first team in NHL history to overturn their goaltending tandem before Christmas.
Yep.
It's just the amount of change. I was trying to find out. I was going through looking at line data for the Avs in preparation for some written content this week, but I was like, who was even their fourth line center? And if you go through like various stages of the year, I have no idea. Like, oh, it was Ivan, but that guy was also on a line with Casey Middlestat and Nikolai Kovalenko for several weeks.
Wow, a rare Rudo freeze. You guys are going to have to improvise quick.
This is... Really? This is awkward. Both of them are gone? It's just me? I'm the one that's working? Huh.
Yeah, I'm back.
It's usually me, so I just assumed it was me, so I stopped talking. That was really awkward for everybody. Okay, anyway. The way that the Avs have basically changed all of their center depth. I mean, going from Casey Middlestat and Parker Kelly, and I don't even know who their fourth line center is, for most of the season, to having having Brock Nelson, Charlie Coyle, and Jack Drury down the middle has been honestly game changing. And is it as game changing as what happened in net when Mackenzie Blackwood and Scott Wedgwood took the Avs from being one of the worst teams in allowing goals to being one of the best over the last 3 months of the season? I don't think so, but without center depth and without goaltending, you're not winning in the postseason. That the Avs were able to overhaul both of those positions in the middle of the season, during the season, it's honestly just so impressive that I don't know that we'll see anything like it anytime soon. And I can't think of a time where a team has been this aggressive in season before. So Eric, I stole your answer. I'm sorry, but it's just the sea of change that
I agree.
that Chris McFarland brought along.
I agree with that, because for me it was masterful. And I retain one line from those press conferences from CMAC, and obviously speaking on behalf of his group, and was we owe it to that core group, you know what I mean? Because they wanted another shot, they wanted a real shot at it, and I think that they felt goaltending wasn't good enough. Boom, done. Felt the center position not good enough. Boom, done. And it's rare that things work that way. It's rare that you have the capital to do it, right? I'm talking about the assets, to make trades. If you would have had them do that last year, probably wouldn't have worked. And he reappeared. He's back. But yeah, I do believe the roster overhaul for me is the MVP of the season so far. And you add that to McKinnon, Makar. I mean, oh my God, both of the anchors of this team were outstanding once again. One at forward, one at D, and right now you got the sentiment. I do believe you build, with a goalie, and I do believe that the Avalanche have the goalies, right, to get it done. I do believe the sentiment position is as strong as it can ever be, and there's got to be a belief, and I think that there's a belief in there. And then you got the emotional, jolt that you're going to get from, again, knock on wood, number 92 when he does make his comeback. So everything, all that together. I love the fact that they were able to piece it all up this season, and now it brings you to the end of the season with everything I just said, in a great place to obviously start the second season next week. But for me, the roster overhaul was what led us to this today.
I think you guys are right. I think that is the biggest storyline of the season. I kind of want to take a different approach to this answer, though. What could have been the biggest storyline of this season for the Colorado Avalanche was injuries. At multiple times throughout this season. Obviously, at the start of the year, outrageous. Some of that wasn't injuries, but guys out of the lineup. And then it kept piling up. By game 15, you're losing guys like Ross Colton after you got an Arturi Lehkonen back. You get more injuries time and time again throughout pretty much the entire first half of the season. It felt like the Avs are losing guys left and right. Even when they'd get some guys back, they'd lose a different guy. But the Avs battled through that, and with that roster overhaul, were able to put themselves in a position to succeed starting in December and going through most of January. That put themselves in a comfortable spot where they then went on another big run after the Four Nations tournament. And, call it persevering through adversity or call it whatever you want. The Avs get to sit here and enjoy storylines that are much more positive because they got through the portions of the seasons where it was a battle. It was a struggle for them to go 500 at times early in this year. They survived those sections and allowed themselves to give themselves a chance to win. The team itself, as much as the overhaul of the roster. So I do think they deserve a lot of credit for putting themselves into that spot in the first place, as much as CMAC and the front office deserve credit for putting all the pieces in place this year too.
And if I can add something to this too, and it would be a close second, because I've lived it in a different situation. But what are we at? 50 players? Is it 50 or 49 last night?
49.
49, close enough. We'll keep the 50th for later. 49 players in one season. Your coach has to be on board. Your coach has to be ready to go, right? And your coaches. So as much as it's a roster overhaul, at the end of the day, management does what they do, but then players go play, but coaches have to manage it every day, day in and day out. They're the ones that spend, all those hours with the team, with the guys that you've gotten. I'm not downplaying CMAC and the staff, because I said that was the number one reason. But number two reason is how the coaching staff made them adapt to what they needed to do. And then obviously the core group to make them adapt to the leadership group. How do we work here? This is how we work with Avalanche. As an Avalanche, this is how we play. This is what we do. So don't forget, the coaching staff had a lot to do with this, and especially with all those injuries. And just go back and have some fun and look at the rosters at the start of the year. And some of them are pretty funny, because it's like, wow, like, are you serious? Like, wow, that was tough. That's a tough night when you're looking down the bench as a coach. And again, I'm not downplaying those kids that were there. Some kids are not ready for that. They just weren't ready. They were put in situations that you just don't belong there today on a team aspiring to win the Stanley Cup.
So let me ask you this, and I probably will need 2 answers from you for this question. Biggest surprise of the season for the Colorado Avalanche? And if one of those answers is trading Mikko Rantanen, I'm going to need another answer too.
Well, I mean, well, that is because we all know what I thought about that. And again, now does it make sense?
I didn't think they'd trade him either.
It does. I never thought in a million years, hence the Speedo run. For me, man, this is a good one. I got to think 10 seconds here. If you want to take over, AJ.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you got an answer already. Because I got a couple things, but
I mean, I'll jump in, this might be a little bit of a cop-out answer, but my biggest surprise for the Avs this year is how good their center depth ended up being. I thought their center depth was better than most people, I think, with Casey in there, even with his struggles. But from where they were to where they have ended up now, I think there's a decent argument the Avs have the best group of 4 centers in the NHL. And it was not that by any stretch of the imagination earlier in the year. And I know this all ties back into the roster overhaul, but this era of the Avalanche has largely been defined by their center depth. When they've had quality center depth, they've made runs, they've had solid playoff years, and obviously won their cup with Kadri as their 2C. And I think it's good recognition by the Avalanche to say, okay, this is what we have to do to put ourselves in a position to win. And I just didn't believe it would work out as well as it has. Look, I was extremely surprised at how much they were willing to pay for Brock Nelson and skeptical of the price. Obviously, the playoffs are what matter, but so far that has worked out great. Charlie Coyle has been amazing. Jack Drury has been super duper solid for a piece in that trade. It's really, really impressive what they did at C, and it surprised me.
The thing about that,
I'll wait for you.
That center depth too is that 3 of those 4 centers are signed for next season.
Yep.
So arguably
2C is the one that's not signed, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The one that they keep trying to figure out every single year is the one that's not signed. But at the moment, 3 of those 4 centers are signed, and they can always trade a 2028 first round pick for another shot at the 2C problem.
Ship
here.
them all out. Ship them all out.
But yeah, I think that Rudo, I think you're probably right there. Just we knew going in that if the goaltending wasn't going to hold up, that something was going to happen. Yeah. That they weren't just going to go down with the ship with Georgiev.
Right. That was not a surprise.
Especially when it got
as
so
bad. Oh my God, yeah.
If Georgiev had been 900, where you're it's shaky at times and he's got good days and bad days, but it was so bad.
When I think we do good work, but when our Avalanche specific podcast has everyone calling him Forgiev, that's one thing. When national broadcasters are calling him Forgiev, you have a problem.
Yeah, and what a prophecy too. You know how many goals against he's given up per game in San Jose? It's 4.03. It's so good. It's so good. Anyway, also save percentage is almost the same for him.
Yeah, it's surprising how close it is.
Yeah, he had an 874 in Colorado.
Yeah, that's what he is.
874. It is shocking how bad it was with him at the start of the season. So maybe that's the biggest surprise, is not so much that Georgiev had his struggles, but that the way that it melted down into this Chernobyl level of meltdown in net. It was brutally bad to watch. And he's screaming at teammates, and he's breaking his stick, and he's punching glass, and I just don't know that I've seen like a player just have such a singular like career self-immolation in the way that he did. And the lack of self-awareness on his way in San Jose, he's been like, oh, well, they lost confidence in me and that hurt my feelings. And, it's, oh, I'm learning things here from their goaltending coach that I've never been told before. And, buddy, they're not working. And I just think not to like pile on to the guy. Okay, I'm piling on, but like, I think that if we're not going to go with the center answer as the most surprising part of it, it's that it was so bad in net. It was
That's fair.
So bad. They looked like the Philadelphia Flyers. It was so bad in net that even behind like a decent defense, and the defense had its moments leading up to it, and it created that relationship where the defense was completely selling out. You notice that in some ways it ended up being true. It's not Georgiev's fault. Just watch this soft defense play in front of them. They can't defend in front of the net. And like it ended up kind of true.
Because they're freaking out trying to block every shot because they don't
exactly
trust him.
Because they were like, unscreened shots from the point are beating this guy on a semi-regular basis. We can't let anything get to the net. And so it was a full sail of effort to try and stop anything from getting on goal. And it caused so many breakdowns. It was such a parasitic relationship between the defensive breakdowns and the porous goaltending. And then you look at how different that is now. And the goaltending has gotten better, even with Blackwood's wobbles over the last couple of weeks. It's so much better. And the defense is it's solid. It is rock solid.
Yep.
But
I'll give you my answer after break.
Okay.
It still has its pockmarks, but it's so solid. And I think that's my answer. It's just how bad it got at the start of the year.
That's a good answer. We'll get to E's answer in just a second here, but first we do have to pay a couple of bills. So let's jump over and make sure we are doing that. As of course, our presenting sponsor for today is Bet365. Make sure you get over with them. Use the DNVR365 code when you sign up for a new account. You put in $10, you bet $5 on anything, win or lose. You get $150 in bonus bets to play with, whether that's betting on the Avs in the playoffs against Dallas, whether it's betting on the Nuggets in their playoff series. You could go bet in the Rockies, but as the chat has said, maybe bet overs in Rockies games. Their bullpen might have been worse than the Avs goaltending at the start of the year. It's a fair point. Whatever you're betting on, do it with Bet365. You can also, of course, bet on other sports all across the world. You can bet on esports if that's your thing, whatever it might be. Do it with Bet365. Use that DNVR365 code and get the $150 in bonus bets. Of course, terms and conditions apply. And when you gamble with Bet365, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today. Then maybe you win a little bit of money with Bet365. Get yourself over to Empire Today and get yourself some new floors. Or even if you don't win money, you can get a great deal with Empire Today at empiretoday.com/DNVR, where you can get $350 off new floors for your house, your apartment, your suite, penthouse. I don't know. I don't know where you people live. Wherever you live, you can get new floors with Empire Today, and it's only the best quality products from Empire Today. They don't carry all those junk, bad products that are going to fail on you after a couple of years. They guarantee their stuff is the best out there, whether it's carpet, tile, hardwood, you name it. Empire Today has you covered. They can even give you a free in-home estimate where they'll come out, show you their products, see what it looks like in the space. So get with them today. Get that free in-home estimate, because some things are just better at home, and get that $350 off with code DNVR. Yes, that's a $350 discount with code DNVR, or head over to empiretoday.com/DNVR today for full details. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. We've got the goaltending being horrible surprise, the center depth being good surprise. E, what do you got for us?
Well, I'm going to make it different because I agree with everything, right? And then obviously the Rantanen thing was my biggest surprise, but I'm going to turn this into a little bit of fun. I'm going to turn this into a little bit of fun. I'm going to turn into an individual player. And I agree. I think somebody was talking about the fourth line. Sorry. I agree. And I think AJ talked about that, but Chat was talking about that. The fourth line's been outstanding, been awesome. I love that. I do believe Vegas won on the fourth line a few years back, right? I think it's important. But I'm going to talk about one individual because he won me over.
If you guys start having a Will Carrier love fest again, so.
No.
Will Carrier's awesome, man. He's so good, though. You don't even know.
If he stayed healthy, Will would be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he's so good, dude. Healthy. He'd be a tip-top fourth liner if he could just stay healthy.
I know. So here's my guy. And we've had fun with it all year, and it's always out of love. And he won me over. I couldn't see it. But I now I believe in it. He was actually not there the other day, and I was actually having, scratching my head a little bit. I was getting nervous because I was like, man, I never would have thought last year if he told me this guy was out that I'd be nervous. But now he's won me over, and he's obviously won someone over before me. I'm not going to say his name. I'm just going to make a sound, and it's going to give it away. Meow. Meow. Give it a cat with 16 butts. That's my revelation of the year. And you know what? Freaking frack.
Definitely surprise.
It's my surprise of the year that I actually love Kivy the cat. Meow, meow, meow. I do. I love him. And that surprises me because I never would have seen it. I think I'm like Bednar. Bednar fell in love with him earlier than I did. And, but I have to give it to Kivy,
He was so
right
good
now.
in the series against Winnipeg last year that he was like, I'll just be like this all the time. Oh,
I do.
Okay.
So the sound is the cat. Meow. Is my guy. That's who I'm going with.
Biggest surprise, sure. I'm in for that conversation. It also a little surprising that he might be your biggest surprise and may well not be in the starting lineup for game one.
Meow! The cat's in.
Yeah.
The cat's in. I am calling Bednar right now. I'm calling Bednar.
Honestly, it's such a tough. That's such a hard conversation for me.
Yeah, same. There's cases for him or Kelly, either way.
Yeah, just it's strange because with Parker Kelly, I don't know how many times we shouted at people on this podcast through the first 50 games of the year. He's not a center. And as soon as he stopped playing center, all of a sudden his game just went bum, 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 bum. Yeah. It was such a significant difference in the quality of his play where you were like, this guy kind of sucks at center. We're no. And then he gets back on the wing and all right, this is the guy. And then the chemistry between Kelly and Drury and O'Connor, their success as a trio, it's been so good. And the one thing about Kelly that I like more than Kiviranta is Kelly gets himself way more involved in the physicality.
True.
Kivy is fearless and he doesn't shy away from it. He battles. But Kelly goes and seeks it out in a way that Kiviranta doesn't. And I think that especially in a series against the Stars, you're going to want guys that if you're down 2-0 with 4 minutes left in the second period, you're going to want a guy in your lineup that's going to go out there and maybe have a shift where he plays a little crazy. He does something a little wild. He gets the heart rate up.
Shift. Yeah.
Yeah, he gets a little nuts, right? And Kelly will do that and Kiviranta won't. And we also know that the 16 goals for Kiviranta, great. It was an enormous surprise.
Yeah.
Full marks to that, but also, come on. We all know it was insane. That is not. I'm still looking at Kiviranta as the same player he has been his entire career, and saying I don't know that there's a significant difference between Kiviranta and Kelly going into this, just because he had 16 goals and he had a hilarious shooting percentage this season. I'm just not.
Counterpoint.
I don't know.
Round one series is against Dallas.
Yeah. This works on me.
Brendan, just
Yeah.
so you know, if Kivy plays and scores, it will be a loud meow. I promise you that. We'll have to shut the studio down. But
there might be more of a mountain lion
but I
roar
love
than
Kelly.
meow
And
at
Kelly
that
was
point.
my next guy. Kelly was my next guy. I wasn't familiar with him. That's pro scouting, right? You know what I mean? That's the boys in pro scouting. Did a good job there. I wasn't very familiar with him. I've got a few interactions with him all year long in the locker. Like, nice kid, very nice kid. I love what you just said. He wants to get involved physically, and I think he understands his role. And I think that when the pressure cooker got in there, you know what I mean, like with 5 games to go, and all of a sudden there's a lot of bodies, and I always talk about competition. All of a sudden he understood the assignment. You know what I mean? And that line as a whole understood the assignment. He certainly did. And this is what it is. Now, would I like for him to shoot better shot selections? Yes. You know what I mean? Yes. I'm on his case. Just shoot 5-hole, buddy. Stop picking corners. You got 5 goals. Don't pick corners. You know what I mean? Like, put it on net. Things are going to go well. So, but other than that, he was a good surprise for me. I really enjoy. And you're right. I don't know what's going to happen. It's a good sign when we're talking about this if everybody's healthy and somebody has to sit. And I don't care what people say. Like, even if Jimmy's been good. Jimmy, if you ask him to play, Jimmy can play. You know what I mean? He hasn't been asked to do a lot since he's been here, but someone's going to have to say Miles Wood's been good since he got back in, right? He didn't really do well. Then he got scratched again. Then he didn't do well. Then he got scratched again. And now this one, because it was more than just a one and done, he actually did decent. You know what I mean? You have to give him credit.
Yeah.
We all know that he's not healthy 100% somewhere somehow, right? That's what it looks like. I'm not a doctor, just play one on TV. But, we all know that maybe he's not. Yeah, that's what I'm just, whatever. In case the spies from Dallas were listening, you know what I mean? Just don't want them to know. But, yeah, you know what I'm saying. Somewhere, somehow, someone's going to sit. You can only dress 12, right? No, whatever, yeah. You know what I mean? You can dress 20 bodies.
I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this question, but I do have to ask it to you guys. Who had a better season, Nathan MacKinnon or Cale Makar? To set the stage while you guys think about it, Cale Makar almost certainly about to win another Norris. Nathan MacKinnon in Hart and Art Ross contention. Obviously, him not playing the last 2 games likely takes him out of winning either of those, but had he played, maybe he wins them. MacKinnon with his 3rd straight season over 110 points. Makar, the first 30-goal season for a defenseman in over 15 years. So MacKinnon also tied Joe Sakic exactly for the Avalanche points record in the exact same amount of games this year. A lot of accolades piling up for these 2 guys this season. I'll put it to you that way.
It's honestly tough to pick just because they spend so much of their ice time together. And as
they make each other really, really
everybody
good.
else, as everybody else has wanted to talk about to try and convince everybody in Colorado that Cale Makar's not the best defenseman in the world, his ice time away from Nathan MacKinnon can get a little shaky, but the ice time with Nathan MacKinnon is supercharged. But so is those results are the same for MacKinnon as with Makar. McKinnon's results away from Makar aren't nearly as good. With Makar, supercharged.
Oh, the best players on the planet make each other better. Whoa.
Yeah, it's a really shocking revelation that those guys are so much better together than away from each other. But I'm gonna lean MacKinnon because he has had to do so much of the heavy lifting on a forward core where, I mean, we're talking about they used 49 players. It felt like 40 of them were forwards. Like, the list of forwards for the Avs this season is enormous.
Yeah,
and I just think you do look at some of their numbers together, and MacKinnon and Makar, and away from each other, MacKinnon's better. McKinnon's numbers are just better away from Makar than what Makar does away from MacKinnon. So, okay. But it's a small thing that separates them. They don't play without each other very often. But I like what MacKinnon did in leading a forward core that went through a serious transition. Cale Makar got to have Devon Taves next to him all season long, like normal. McKinnon lost his running mate in Mikko Rantanen halfway through the year and just kept going. Oh,
yep.
Just kept going. And he loses the Art Ross at the end because he gears his game down for the final, 3-4 weeks?
Yeah,
of the,
and then
of
just
the
takes
season
the last
where,
2 games off entirely.
Yeah, doesn't play the final weekend, like just sits does not play at all in the last 3 games of the season. I don't care about this. But I'm saying Nathan McKinnon by just the smallest of margins.
I want to get E's answer too. We are going to take a break before that, and just to give you the official numbers, 13 defensemen suited up for the Avs this year, 6.5 goalies, and 30 forwards. So, yeah, that's almost you're starting to push into 3 full lineups of forwards at that point. Ridiculous. All right, let's pay a few bills here. We are, of course, presented by the fantastic folks over at Mando. Sometimes your butt crack stinks. Sometimes your taint stinks. All right? Sometimes you're stinky. That's life. You can make sure you don't stink as much thanks to Mando. They have scents geared towards men, including bourbon leather, clover woods, Mount Fuji, and pro sport. And, of course, they take care of you with their new starter package. Make sure you go get in with them. Get their products. The starter package comes with 2 different deodorants, both cream tube and solid stick, as well as 2 items of your choice that you can get with them, including things like other deodorants. You can also get, what's the word I'm looking for? Things that's cologne. Yeah, cologne. That's the word I'm looking for. You can jump in with that. You can make sure you're smelling right and feeling right. Of course, they have wipes and towels and all that good stuff too. So make sure you're checking out Mando's starter pack, and make sure you're getting $5 off that starter pack with code DNVR. That's 40% off. You'll get free shipping too with the starter pack, by the way, when you go use the DNVR code with Shop Mando. Go check it out. Their products are even clinically proven to control odor better than a shower with soap alone. So go to shopmando.com today and use code DNVR. That's SHOPMANDO.com and code DNVR. Let them know we sent you over there. Support our show, smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. Once you're feeling good, smelling good, being good, make sure you also get yourself to Game Time to get your tickets to your next event, whether it's the Avs playoffs, the Nuggets playoffs, a Rockies game, whatever it might be. Go over to Game Time, get $20 off your first purchase with them when you use code DNVR. Of course, terms do apply there, but get with them. Over 15 million people use Game Time to get their tickets, and you can get great deals, whether it's waiting for the last minute or using their Game Time Picks feature. Search for what you want. Game Time will filter out all the junk. They'll only show you the best tickets for the best prices based on your search parameters, including things like concerts, the theater, movies. You can even get to those, not just sporting events. So go check them out, especially with the prices of playoff tickets. You're going to want to find a good deal. What time is it? It's game time. See, I did it quiet that time. I don't know why, but I did it. McKinnon or Makar?
You know my answer. He's the best player on the planet. I agree with everything AJ said, as you know. But I'm going to start a franchise. I pick Makar. That's not a knock on Mack. That's who I take. And I do believe that he showed it this season again. You know what I mean? He did. And he is a unicorn. He's the guy that if he's on the ice, I know I can go to the bathroom or whatever it is I need to do. I'm not nervous because there's not going to be anything against. He's going to control the game, and he controls the game for 30 minutes. And for me, boy, oh boy, does he make me giggle when I watch him at practice, when I'm watching at games. I love that he's humble, and it's not a knock on Mack. Mack is different. Mack is the dog, and you know what I mean. They both had outstanding seasons. You're asking me to pick one. God, like I said, I'm going with my boy Cale Makar, because I call him almost every day on every show the best player in the world. So I have to stick with him.
Fair enough. I think I would lean Cale Makar. just because of that nobody's done what he did this year in well over a decade factor. 30 goals for a defenseman is truly something crazy. And scoring's up, blah, 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 whatever. Okay, why hasn't someone else done it yet then?
Not that up.
Right. Why isn't there another defenseman even in the ballpark of what Cale Makar is doing right now? So I think I lean Makar a little bit, but if we're being honest, the more important one might be the one who wins the Conn Smythe this year. So,
no, I like that answer. I like that.
Let that be the separator.
Whoever takes the Conn Smythe can have the better season. I'm good with that answer for sure.
Also, like, relative to the guys around him, Makar's season has been better. You look at Zach Werenski, 78 points. Cale Makar's at 92.
Yeah, not close.
Like he dominated the scoring at his position this season, and it sucks. Like, Quinn Hughes only has played 66 games so far. He's going to finish the season having missed so many games that kept this from being like an all-time great race. But availability is skill, man. And like,
yep,
it is.
There have been years where Cale Makar didn't get didn't have all those games played.
One of Makar's healthiest years. Like,
yeah. And look what happens. He scores 30 goals.
Yep.
Nope. And you're talking, oh, yes, scoring is up. Why aren't other guys doing it? Werenski has 22 goals. That's as close as it got.
8 goals. That's barely 70% of Cale Makar's goals.
Yeah, there are 3 20-goal scoring defensemen this year. 3. In the entire league. Makar, Werenski, Jacob Chychrun. I feel like it's probably going to stay that way because I don't think any of these guys are scoring a bunch of goals. Rasmus Dahlin's been crazy hot lately, so maybe he does. But I just... Yeah. I mean, it's a completely fair point to look at Cale Makar and go, yeah. I wrote in the night that he got to 30, I wrote that there have been, I don't remember, something like 2,500 defensemen in NHL history.
Yeah.
And 9 of them have 30-goal seasons in their career.
It's dumb.
Like,
it's dumb.
We're looking at it and saying, yeah, well, Cale Makar had 28 a couple years ago. Like, a 30-goal season for a defenseman is bonkers. A 30-goal season for a forward used to be like the thing that Avs fans rooted for because the team was so bad and we knew that they weren't going to make the playoffs and they weren't going to win rounds. And it was like, well, maybe we'll get a 30-goal season. And then Chris Stewart blessed us with, what was it, like a 28-goal year one time?
Yeah.
And then it was like, yeah, oh my God, he was so close. It was so close with Chris Stewart. Cale Makar did it as a defenseman. And I understand that the Cale Makar freak show has gotten normalized for us because we see him every day and we're just like, yeah, guys, yeah, this is what it's like to watch a unicorn, stomp around and do whatever unicorns do. I don't know. It's not even a real animal. And that's how it feels with Cale Makar sometimes. Like, you watch him play hockey and you just go, what is this? Because it looks so weird and abnormal, and the guy's such a freak of nature. So if you really want to, like, argue the 30-goal season for Cale Makar is more impressive than what Nathan MacKinnon did, I'm good. I'm not going to fight against it. Both of them were special. I would still pick MacKinnon, although I did a pretty good job of talking myself into Makar just now. It's really just like two sides of the same coin, and the picture on it is a unicorn. So it's just a special era for Avalanche fans.
Fun little stat I found here, and they didn't play their last 2 games of the season. There's still games to play, so players will probably pass them. But most shots on goal right now this season, Nathan MacKinnon with 320. Most shots attempted this season, Cale Makar with 623. So those two are shooting the puck a lot.
He had some like legit like 12 shot attempt games where you're like, what the hell is going? Like, did the guy do anything that game other than shoot? And then you look down, he has 3 assists.
Yep.
Okay, man. Whatever.
That's crazy.
How many of those shot attempts are Nathan MacKinnon passing it back to him for the 4th time on the power play? And Makar's like, fine, dude, I'll do it.
Fine, I'll do it. I'll do it, Nate. And then he scores, and you're like, all right, this is why he did it, I guess.
And it's the same thing. Those two guys are so good, and then you hear me complain to Rudo sometimes, like, oh, God, I need more from Mack. And it's like he's got 18 points in 7 games, and you're like, oh, God, maybe I should shut my mouth, like, but it's like, right? We've gotten accustomed to that, that type of production. And again, I don't mind saying that because repeatedly we said best player in the NHL. Sorry, best forward in the NHL, best defenseman in the NHL. Now, that doesn't make us not criticize them sometimes when we feel they're not at that crazy level that we're accustomed to see. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where it goes sometimes. But then it makes you realize, you're like, man, oh man, boy, are these two good. Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah. Again, there's a very real argument that 2 of the best 3 hockey players in the world play for the Colorado Avalanche. So pretty cool thing to talk about.
It's pretty undeniable that it's 2 of the top 5. I don't want to get into a whole fight about it, but 2 of the top 5. If you take either one of those out of the top 5, you're wrong and you're bad, and stop.
This is a topic that I did want to talk about, and I think there's a pretty good argument that what are the turning points of the Avs season? We don't have to rehash it. If you guys really do think the biggest turning point was the acquisition of the goalies, fair enough. I'm not going to argue with that. But do you think there are other points in this season that it felt like were a branch in the path, at least for the Colorado Avalanche?
Unfortunately, I think that the other ones are also trades. Because the Rantanen trade was kind of a spur in the side of a guy like Nathan MacKinnon. It woke him up a little bit. It broke out some of the stagnation that was really starting to set in, especially with those top guys. You could even see it at practice. Look, I don't live in Colorado anymore. I'm not at practice every day, but even in the practices that I attended, you could see that these guys had like sunk into such a rhythm with each other that they're on one end of the ice and they're kind of doing their own thing and the rest of the team is away from them. And it's not that's not like bad teammate stuff. It's just they lived in their own little world a little bit. And you could see, like, why was the power play so bad? Because those 3 were doing the same thing all the time. And so I think the Rantanen trade kind of woke them up and said, hey, this has got to change. Nobody's immune to this, right? Like, you guys, this has to change. This is a different beast. You guys have to wake up and you need to get going. And I think the Mikko trade really helped, but also let's be honest here, the trade deadline
as a whole,
Cale Makar, a week or 2 before the deadline, Cale Makar said, look, we have to give them reason to go all in on us. They won a couple of games, and C-Mac said, good, I'm in. Let's go. Let's do this thing. And you look at them, and since the trade deadline, I'll cut out the last 3 games of the season because they meant absolutely nothing. Yeah. But in that time, the Avalanche were awesome. They were excellent 5v5. They were solid on the special teams. Basically, their only problem is winning against St. Louis. And that was in the middle of St. Louis's insane franchise record winning streak. So that sucks. But, like, they were spectacular after the trade deadline. And one major reason why people are talking about Colorado as a Stanley Cup favorite as the 3 seed in the Central Division. Because after the deadline, they looked so different from even before that. The Casey Middlestat, is he going to figure it out? All of a sudden, their center depth rocked. Their goalies, solid. Their defense, bigger, physical, good with the puck, contributed. It's all 3 levels of the team. And so I think, funny enough, the 3 big branches of the season, 3 trades.
Fair enough. Not counting those last 3 games, 11-3-2 post-deadline for the Avalanche. Pretty darn good. Even if you count the games they didn't care about, it ends up being 12-5-2. So, yeah.
Pretty good.
Any arguments there? Any branch points that maybe weren't a trade for you, or do you think that nails it?
Yeah, but do you need a break or no? Are you good?
No, we're good.
We're good? All right. Well, my point is, I think somebody in chat said it. God, he's one of my guys. Because he truly is a unicorn, is Val. You know what I mean? Like, if you look at Val, the way he's been in the play, like, with this team, the record is what? It's crazy, right? I mean,
yeah, it's
when
outrageous.
he's in the lineup, it's outrageous. And there's a reason for that. He is a unicorn. And I think that that's one of the things that is so key for the Avalanche. You know what I mean? And it showed it in that regular season. As much as he handcuffed them last summer, as much as he obviously the last 2, I don't want to go back to the last 2 playoffs. It's past, right? Okay, well, but he did, handcuff them last summer because of the Gabe situation and all that kind of stuff. So next thing you know, he had to come back and be a rock star, or else it wouldn't have gone well. You know what I mean? And I think a lot is forgotten when you perform today. And I think Val was awesome when he performed. And when he performed, the Avalanche won. I mean, that's, again, hopefully they've learned their lesson and they do stuff different with them here and whatever it is. But he's a key guy. And again, I said that Game 5 last year was an absolute disaster. And it was a disaster because of what? Val not being a presence in the lineup. Forget about why the reasons were. He is a unicorn. He is the difference maker. This team is different with him in the lineup.
Game 4, right? Not 5.
Game 4, whatever. I keep going. Like I try to forget.
I was losing my mind there. Sorry. I was like
Game 4. Sorry, I keep saying that. I said Game 5 earlier.
That double whammy. Val and then Taves back to back right before puck drop of Game 4 was awful.
We were devastated. Remember the feeling? It was like.
But you're right. Val's on ice impact is undeniable for this hockey team, truly. So, him being in and out of the lineup this year it shows. It shows in the record. It shows in the consistency of the Avs forward play. It shows in every aspect of their game. So, a good shout out for sure. And these are going to be some funny awards, but I want to give out the best Avs forward and the best Avs defenseman, not named Nathan MacKinnon or Cale Makar. It's pretty easy to just say, all right, Taves can have the defenseman if you want, fine. Who do you think was the second best Avs forward this season? Is it Nichushkin? Is it Natchez?
Honestly, it's so tough. Like, the games played factor is there with all of them.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
Nichushkin played 43 games. Jonathan Duran played 43 games. Arturi Lehkonen had 69 games, but didn't score a goal in the last 3 weeks of the season.
Yep.
Martin Necas was really, really good. And the last couple weeks of the season didn't look very good. Like, stopped scoring at even strength. They all have such big pockmarks in their games that it's very clearly Charlie Coyle.
Okay, bro. Relax.
I'm kidding. I think it's Martin Necas. Even with the pockmarks in the game, I think it's Necas. It looked like he rejuvenated Nathan MacKinnon in a way that he really needed. And it was the first time that MacKinnon had ever played with somebody that kind of vibed on the same frequency that he did. And that, to me, I thought, huge.
Big himbo energy. I get it. Yeah.
Like, huge. And rejuvenated the power play, really brought it back to life. And I'm just, even with some of the defensive deficiencies, because he's not a good defensive player, the effort is a little inconsistent at times. I can live with that. we saw what it looks like when my arguments against some of the other guys, other than games played, Nichushkin, this was his worst defensive season in a really long time. Is no longer like the absolute two-way monster that he had been in the past. Is still a good player, but his defensive presence is not what it used to be. Artturi Lehkonen, it's tough to overlook the last couple weeks of the season where he had 4 points in I think 15 games. Like that's tough. And it's not going to be Duran just because it's not going to be Duran.
Didn't play enough.
Who else? Yeah, like who else is it really going to be? And so I think for me, it feels like it's Netchus, who was so important to so many levels of the team.
Yeah,
I'm good with it.
Chat's talking about the cat. Meow. Of course, I'm thinking about the cat right now. But my answer is Marty Party as well. Marty Party. I knew he was good. I really liked him over the years. I never realized the French in me taken out, how fast he was. I had no idea he was that fast. He ramps up at that blue line, and Mack ramps up on the other side. Boy, oh boy, it makes you back off. And when you see it live, you're like, wow, that is awesome. So my answer is Marty Party, kind of like you. And again, it's bits and pieces because the season the guys missed. And again, Marty hasn't been there the whole season. But if it was going to be a whole season, that would be Marty. You know what I mean? Prorated. But I have to give consideration to the cat. Meow, meow.
Yep, maybe most improved player. You could say Kivy, an option there.
No, he's at a different level, right?
Yeah, of course. But I do think it is interesting. Artturi Lehkonen had 27 goals this year. We're not even really considering him as the second best forward on the team. Jonathan Drouin had 37 points in 43 games. We're not even really considering him in this conversation.
Yeah.
Abs are good, man.
Their 82 game paces would have had like an insane scoring profile for this team. Had they been a lot bit healthier. Obviously,
they would have had to keep up the paces too, which maybe not realistic.
They probably wouldn't have on some of those cases, but like even if you're talking about Jonathan Duran's a 65-point player, Val Nichushkin's a 65-point player, Artturi Lehkonen's a 55-point. Okay. That's pretty good.
Still really good.
That's pretty good. Like, those are really good numbers for guys that you're not paying a ton of money.
Yeah.
One last question for you guys, and then we'll get to Super Chats. Gabe Landeskog, Game 1 or Game 3?
The poll in chat currently sits at 57% Game 1, 43% Game 3.
I mean, I don't think it has to be just those, right? He could easily play in Game 2. But did we go through all of this just for him to not roll out in Game 1? Are we really saving it for Game 3 for the sentimental factor here? It doesn't make sense. If he's good to go, he's good to go. So I think it's Game 1. I'm saying Game 1.
I'm saying Game 1 too, because if you're going through this, you're playing on the back-to-back. Just because of where the schedule lines up, they're not going to, they have the whole week off. Who knows what they're going to do with them, right? I don't know what this, is he playing Wednesday on the road? Is he not? I don't know if they've addressed it in practice today, right? So, but boy, oh boy, I think he plays Game 1. You have to, because it's playoffs. You can't wait for all the effects of a home game. He'll still be there the home game, so make him play Game 3. So I go Game 1 for me for that reason, because you want to go win, and if he helps you win in your book, and then it's Game 1.
That's the way I thought of it. I think it's Game 1. If he's ready to go and he makes you better, why aren't you doing it? So
yeah, is the enthusiasm really going to be less in Game 3 if he's played Game 1 and 2 in Dallas? Like, come on, of course not.
No, it's actually better. He'll be better.
He will be better. Yeah.
All right.
Give him a little breather there,
Sure. Let him get his bearings in Dallas and then pop off in Colorado. I'm good with that. We do have 2 super chats, I think, to get to here. One from James, who says, way too excited. Game 1 needs to be right now. We could use a couple days off, man. I ain't gonna lie.
Yes, please.
I could wait till the weekend. I'm good. Sorry.
Today has been a Monday, let me tell you.
And then some Swede bucks from Flats that says, is Nate's 200-foot game underrated? He was nails in 2022. No, he's bad defensively. I do think when he puts the effort in, like in a playoff series, there's a little bit more there, but there are flaws in his defensive game that are just not going to be fixed.
Yeah, so much of defense is effort. It's want to, it's will. That's why a guy like Logan O'Connor is one of the best defensive wings in the NHL, because he just works harder than other guys. But yeah, there have been a lot of really hardworking bad players in the NHL. So I think that with McKinnon, like, you're talking, come on, it's no. He saves a little bit for the postseason. He goes all out in the playoffs. I guarantee you there will be multiple times this postseason he gets scored on because he's just standing around waiting for somebody else to do something, or he makes a bad read or whatever, because he's just not very good defensively. It's just who he is.
Yep.
Makes him the best. It makes him, his best attribute defensively is that he has the puck and is in the offensive zone. So that's the best way to honestly analyze it.
Yep.
Because when he doesn't have the puck, he's in his defensive zone, then he's searching and looking. So, yeah,
True.
I would say having the puck and spending time in the offensive zone is probably his best way of defending.
I don't know, Chet. What, should I shave for the playoffs, or should I just grow it out from here? What do you guys think?
I'm
shaving
shaving.
up to
If
you
you want to
guys.
shave, I'll shave it live on the air. It'll be back like this the next day. It's fine.
I mean, we've got a week to decide, so we've got time. You saw the offer down there for the intro to the playoffs. We are doing a $36 diehard special. Make sure you're getting signed up to be a diehard. AJ has literally a bunch of pieces that he's been working way too hard on, so make sure you go check that out. All of his lead into the playoff stuff is great. If you haven't been a diehard already and you haven't read his pieces, you gotta try it. For that deal, also ridiculous. You get a bunch of stuff when you become a diehard, including a free shirt and access, obviously, but you get discounts at the bar, first dibs on things like takeovers. It's worth the money. Trust me. Go get diehard stuff. There was one more super chat there, I think. Another one from James saying McKinnon on a back check is hard to watch sometimes. McKinnon, it's fine as long as he doesn't have to make any reads. If all he has to do is skate real hard backwards, it's fine. If he has to find the trailer and get in the passing lane, yeah, you're in trouble. Something bad is going to happen if Nathan McKinnon has to do that. Yeah, it's. I think we're all excited, but we do have to wait until at least the weekend for it. We will have a bunch of previews and other things for you, so make sure you're keeping it here at the DNVR Sports YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. Do all of that stuff. You can see our schedule down there. We're going to be off Wednesday, but the rest of the week we'll be bringing previews. We'll be talking about the end of the regular season. Who knows? Somehow some of these wild card races are still alive. So that stuff could be interesting here as we are heading into overtime for this episode of the DNVR Avalanche Podcast. If you're watching online, come join, or if you're not watching online, rather, come join us at thednvr.com and continue the conversation. Kind of the final question I want to leave you guys with, or ask you guys before we get out of here, I suppose. If you're the Colorado Avalanche, how hard do you practice this week? And I know you kind of dug into some of the details last night, but are we talking about you get to Wednesday and you're full bore practicing, like really, really going ham? Or are you kind of keeping it on the even keel to have yourself as fresh as possible for the game one?
Oh, they'll be fresh. They'll be fresh. Don't worry about that because they're going to be smart about it. But they do need a couple. They haven't had any real practices these past few weeks, and that's just the bear of the schedule in the National Hockey League. But I do believe that now that guys have had some time off, now guys have had some vacation time, so to speak. Like this past weekend, for example, with Nate and Cale, and you need a couple practices to really get the engines going, get some battling going, get some battling drill going. It's not going to take that long, but they're going to do everything off ice. Obviously, all the video, all the preparation for the team that you're about to play for 7 games in a row, right? So I think it's important. Leadership group's they're going to get together for a big team meal there with the wives and everybody and everyone, the management. That'll be put on by the team. What is our theme this year? But they're going to get a couple practice time here this week, and I think it's important to dial it down towards the end there, and then get on the bird and go get a nice team meal, and then go play the first game and be loose and be ready to go.
Okay, cool. That's all I got. Any final thoughts, boys?
I'm good.
Nope. All right.
Yeah, but we have all week.
True.
Yeah.
4 more shows this week. I guess 3 more, and then the game. But,
Yeah.
Either way, we are going to wrap this one up. We appreciate everyone hanging out. Always fun to chat, and this time of year, things start to get real exciting. So this has been the DNVR Avalanche Podcast presented by Bet365, and we will talk to you guys tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.